What's up? Welcome to the Wise Dragon Podcast. I am Alan Salyer, the Wise Dragon himself. I'm going to be your host. Here we're going to talk about life and lifestyle changes. We're going to talk about habits around food, fitness, and overall wellness. I'm going to share personal stories and anecdotes with you from my life. Head on over to my website. It's wisezendragon, WISEZEN, dragon.com. There you're going to find memberships that involve programs and wellness coaching that you can look into. Sign up for a free membership so you can read my blog, and make sure to follow all my social media for any updates we have coming in the future. Let's get to the show. What's up, guys? So on today's episode, we're going to talk about discussing the importance of realistic fitness goals. That being said, think about it this way. What is the point in trying to do something and not sticking to it? And what I mean by that is pushing yourself so much harder, so much further than you actually need to, just because you think that that's what you have to do. You don't. And we're going to talk about some realistic goals today. We want to make goals for ourselves that do not make it impossible to get to the gym, that do not make it impossible to eat right, to eat on a decent schedule, to get your steps in. Pretty much any goal that you're trying to do to be healthy needs to be realistic. It doesn't need to be things like, for example, starting your journey at like 15,000 steps. I need to walk 15,000 steps a day, stuff like that. I think one of the biggest things that it helped make realistic fitness goals, to be completely honest with you, is starting from where you're at and seeing that. So definitely like journaling, logging, things that are going to help you kind of learn where you're at right now. And then you can take the where you're at right now and then you can build upon that, because you don't want to stress yourself out and you don't want to do so much that you quit or aren't able to do it, or that your body isn't healing in the right way. Well, what's the point in pushing yourself so hard that you're not healing, and then 2 months down the road you stop doing it because it's really taking a toll on you? There's zero reason to do that. So that's kind of what today's episode is going to be about: the importance of realistic fitness goals, all fitness goals. So diet, nutrition, even in relationship goals in your relationship. You're trying to do everything together, and stuff like that. It doesn't work all the time. You have to be realistic with yourself, no matter what the objective is. You have to be realistic. So that's what we're going to talk about. So kind of like I just said, setting realistic goals for anything in life that you do is important. We want to make goals for ourselves that do not make them impossible to achieve. When you reach your goal or accomplish it, you'll feel good, and you want to continue on that streak of what it feels like winning, which it is. When you complete something you actually do, it releases chemicals that make you happy. They can be addictive. They should be addictive. Even setting smaller goals, like you can check off more frequently, can make a world of difference. That being said, what that means to me is, have you ever wrote down 3 or 4 things you need to do for the day and then checked them off? A lot of people have. When you go to the grocery store and you make a grocery list, like you're making that grocery list so that you can get the groceries you need and save the most money. That's why most people do it. Even if it's not saving the most money, maybe you're counting macros and you want to get certain groceries. Either way, there's a list to it. And when you get there and you get done, we all know that purchasing those groceries and getting out the door with a list, we're going to save money and we're going to do better. So your goals are the same way. You're going to do better and you're going to get more done if you put them on a list and you check them all. So I want to talk about fitness goals for a second. You really don't need you don't need much to maintain muscle. Creating and body mass, really, like strength training, you really only have to do it like once or twice a week. Most of what you actually need for those two things, like to create muscle, to get better, is sleep and diet. Fitness is literally just one aspect that when you're completing all these little goals and you're doing these things, fitness just needs to be a part of that. It doesn't have to necessarily be the whole thing. Going to the gym, working out every day, I mean, those two things don't have to go hand in hand. You can go to the gym and walk. You can go to the gym and stretch. You can go to the gym every day and not wear yourself out by strength training every single time and then continuing to not do it. You're just going to stress your body out. So, pushing yourself that hard, it just makes it really hard to stay consistent. So, at the very least, do a little bit and heal and rest and see how you feel. Something that I'd like to say when it comes to like fitness and stuff is you can always do more and take it away, and it's not as consistent, but you can do less and add to it and then continue to build. When you're building something, you're not putting a bunch out and taking it away, because then the project will never get done. When you're building something, you're starting with one piece and you're putting on the second piece, and you're putting on the third piece, and you put on the fourth piece, and you're following directions, you're following a book. So I heard this really cool it wasn't a quote, it was more of like an anecdote, more of like a something somebody was using to explain the process of building yourself up. It's like Legos. So, and we all know what Legos are. We all have probably used them, things like that. But it's crazy that you take this whole complex of things and you dump them all out. And then you read the book and you start on step one, and you take one piece and you put it there. You take another piece and you put it there. And it's not hard. Once you follow looking at all the pieces scattered across the floor, it looks very hard, very intimidating. However, once you start doing it piece by piece and following those instructions, you start to see the big picture. You start to build this thing, and then you get to the end of it and you're like, oh, wow, this little thing that took me 200 steps looks amazing, and I didn't mess up, and I got it all done, and now I can be proud of it. Like, your body is the same way. It's just like your body. You start with step one, you do a little bit at a time. Over time, you continue to feel it, you continue to grow, you continue to build. And then once you get to that 200th step, I mean, think about it this way: a 200th step could be your 200th day. That's over half a year. At that point, you know how many results you can have in half a year? How many things you could do to make you happy? That's It's such a great analogy. I actually think they were talking about business, but I'm using it to talk about your body, and it makes complete sense. So, setting realistic fitness goals and doing them a little bit at a time, step by step, is such a good way to continue to build. Another thing would be to do simple workouts, 2 to 3 days a week, and split things up. Like I was saying, go in and stretch, or go in and do something else. So maybe do like strength training on Monday and Thursday, but Tuesday and Wednesday you do like yoga, or you stretch a little bit, or you go in and make sure you get your steps. Start tracking your steps. Don't try to up them. Don't try to change them at all, but start to track them. See where you're at the end of the week. Give yourself a whole week. It's just 1 week. Give yourself that week. Track your steps and see at the end what you were doing. Okay, wow. Monday and Tuesday, I was, at this, and Wednesday and Thursday, I was at this. Oh, and then Friday, I went back down to this, and then over the weekend, I was up here. Find the average there and then see what you want to add. You don't want to go from a lifestyle where you're getting 3,000 steps a day and then trying to jump up to 10,000. Your legs are going to chafe. You're not going to feel the best. You're not going to heal. You're going to go through all these different things. And in the long run, 2-3 weeks down the road, you're going to be like, you know what? I don't want to walk today because my ass cheeks are chafed and it's been a long week, and fuck this. What's the point in doing that? The real point would be, okay, I'm going to walk 10 minutes after every meal and see where that puts me. It's going to let my food start digesting. It's going to let things start to get processed in my body, and it's going to help that move along, and then we'll see how I feel. If it's too much, then it's too much. At least that was just 10 minutes after every meal. If I can still do more, then we're going to push. We're going to try and do more. You have to start small and work your way up. Just like the Legos I was talking about earlier. Start small, build, 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 see where you're at. So in this next little segment, I want to talk about strength training. Doing correctly strength training can not only build muscle, but it helps continue to keep it on. It can help boost your metabolism. Um, I mean, really, so the way that works is if you have more muscle than fat on your body, of course, your metabolism is going to be higher. Um, Holding that lean body mass is going to continue to raise your metabolism. So there are different diets, there are different things you can do, different things that people believe in and want to try and all this stuff. And we'll probably get into that on another episode. But right now, I want to talk about strength training. So strength training is so, so, so important. If you're already somebody that does go to the gym and takes care of themselves, things like that, instead of kind of starting slow and doing maybe 1 or 2 days a week to see how it feels and see how you feel, which definitely I completely recommend that if you're new to this. Um, and we can talk about that more, or you can look at kind of what I'm about to say and adjust it for yourself for 1 or 2 days. But if you're going to the gym now, you're cranking it out, you're doing your, 3, 4 days a week and blah, 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 and all this stuff. Shoot for 2 to 3. Try to go on like every third day. So the way that um, I've come to realize, or that I've learned, we'll say, that your body works when it comes to building muscle and breaking it down, repairing it, releasing all those different amino acids and endorphins to help you continue to move forward is like kind of like a bell curve. So your first day, of course, you're going to strength train, and it's going to kind of stay level. And then the next day, your body is going to ramp up, and it's going to ramp up for about a whole day. And it's going to start to come back down. So that tells me that you're going to go and you're going to push yourself, and then your body's going to go up and it's going to start to really metabolize and continue to grow. And then it's going to start going down. It's going to start healing. So then you're going to get to the bottom of that bell curve. And then, yes, of course, if you want to push and, be those people and do your steroids and do all your things, and you're going to want to go to the top of that bell curve because you're going to keep pushing. Um, I don't recommend that. I don't recommend it for anybody. Even if you are doing that, I don't recommend it. What I recommend is going every third day. So, for example, you would go like Monday, Wednesday, Sunday. And then the next week, you would go Wednesday, Saturday. Over 2 weeks, you're going 5 times, and then you'll restart it. As long as you're eating correctly and staying active, getting them steps in that we were talking about, um, maybe making better choices that are less stressful, provide more rest, then you're not going to lose any muscle, but you will lose body fat. You may even, in a sense, I know this sounds weird, but say you weigh 155 pounds, but you're kind of short and you're chunky, and you want to get rid of some of that. There's a chance that after doing something like this, for 2 or 3 months and upping your protein and eating better, getting all this stuff kind of sorted out, that after 2 or 3 months, you might still weigh 155 pounds, but you might look like a completely different person. A matter of fact, chances are you probably will. So that's kind of what I think. And honestly, what I'm going to do, um, this is, if you listen to the podcast, you're definitely going to hear things before it actually goes out on the website, before things actually get into development. But what I'm going to do is release what's called the quarterly crush. In that program, it's going to be based on protein, strength training, and rest. You're going to crank it out. You're going to do it for 3 months. You're going to be the same thing I'm just talking about. You're going to do 2 to 3 sessions every week. At the end of 2 weeks, you're going to have 5 sessions under your belt. You're going to have plenty of heal. You're going to have a certain amount of protein you're going to be eating based on your weight loss goals. You're going to be eating whole foods. You're going to be really cranking out this lifestyle for 3 months, and you're going to check in with me every week or so and see how you're doing, see how you're feeling, see if there's anything that needs to change. We're going to go over what workouts to do as far as strength training, things like that, stretching, mobility, yoga, all kinds of different things. And at the end of that 3 months, I guarantee that you will feel and look so much better than what you did. you're going to be happier with yourself, because I want to remind everybody what fitness and motivation and energy and the vibe you put off and wellness, what it's all about. It's not about being better for anyone else. It's not about looking in the mirror and loving the way you look. I know a lot of people think that, but it's not. It's about closing your eyes and loving the way you feel. I know that sounds weird, but if you can look in the mirror and you love the way you look, more than likely you're probably doing this for some other reason other than to feel good. And I've said it on, I think I said it on my in my trailer podcast, and you'll probably hear me say it 1,000 different times. When you go to the gym, or when you go talk to somebody who's into health and fitness or any sort of wellness industry, they're not doing it for anybody but themselves. And they're doing it because they feel good. That's why. They're not doing it to prove a point or to be better or to do anything out of the ordinary. They're doing it so that they can feel better. And I cannot stress that enough. And the people that are also doing this, they're going to understand. You're not going to ever have somebody who is into health and wellness, who is into working on themselves, who really wants to provide a better life for themselves and for their family. You are never, ever going to have a person that's truly that person talk down to you or not support you or not believe in you, because they've been there. They've been that person who has to look themselves in the mirror and say, this is what I have to do. This is why I have to do it. That is so much harder than you give yourself credit for. I mean, and I think that's why people don't give themselves credit for it, because doing that, looking yourself in the mirror and talking about your flaws, and not your flaws to, oh man, I'm overweight, or I fucking ate too much food today, things like that. That anybody can do that. Your friends do that shit to you. That's nothing. Looking in the mirror and saying things that really, really touch your soul. And I mean that by, I had someone last week, they were at work and they came in and they were talking to me, and they were talking about King Solomon and all these different practices and things that he believed in, the book that they were reading right now, and all this different stuff. And one of the things they said really kind of stuck with me, because I believe in it, and I believe that it's something that really, I don't know the word I'm looking for. The only thing I can say is it's kind of like a revolution. It's kind of like something that really does need to happen, but it's probably not. And that is, people say what's real. And I don't mean this movement with the younger generation and things about like being real and all that. I mean people saying what's actually on their mind. Anybody who's listening to this podcast right now more than likely has been through things in their life, and they're talking about things in their mind that they don't say out loud, that they don't even say to their therapist. When you're having a conversation with somebody, or when you're having a conversation with yourself in the mirror or anything, there's no, um, there should be no filter. And I get that there has to be, and I get that we're raised in this way that we have to do things a little bit different and, all that. But if people are on the same page, then you should be able to do it. I'm going to give a couple examples that may or may not sit right with you, and I'm sorry if they don't, but I'm going to give them to you anyway. If you are looking at yourself in the mirror and you are in your head disgusted at the fact that you have been watching too much porn, or you masturbate too much. Now, in today's world, it doesn't seem like a thing with OnlyFans and porn and the older generation who thinks a lot of this stuff is okay. Like, but in reality, there's a lot of people who don't think it's okay. And more than likely, if you're doing it all the time, you're not looking at yourself in the mirror and saying it's not okay. You're looking at yourself in the mirror and saying, this is how I'm making money. This is how I'm feeling good. Well, I'll be completely honest with you. I've seen a ton of pictures online, and they've been sitting with me here recently, and it's crazy. They say things like the path to hell feels good, and the path to heaven feels like hell. I mean, think about it. What if you um look in the mirror and I wish I had some of these written down. That's a big one for me. So we'll just get real here, and that's a big one for me. I hate the fact that I masturbate too much sometimes, and I feel like that is a thing. And it should be with a lot of males, even females. There are different ways to feel good, to be happy, and that shouldn't be one of them. So, and you may disagree with me. I'm sorry if you do. That's part of free speech. It's completely okay if you do, but more than likely, if you do it too much, you're probably looking at yourself in the mirror and telling yourself that, but then continuing to do it anyway. So, um, we got off topic a little bit right there. So we're gonna get back to strength training, what we're gonna do when we strength train, and some of the exercises we can do, things like that. Um, I'm gonna talk about. Let me look. Different workouts. I mean, to be completely honest with you, when it comes to different workouts, I tend to do the same, like main lifts, squat, bench, deadlift, and overhead press. Um, I grab a Smith machine, I do those four, and then I'm done. However, everyone's different, and um, I'm thinking that it's time for me to maybe switch it up too. So that's just what I've been doing for a little bit, just to kind of keep myself in the mode of strength training, which is great. But I also feel a lot of tension in my right hip. I'm also feeling a lot of tension in my left shoulder. There's different things where I know I need to maybe switch it up a little bit and add some mobility and some more stretching. So you definitely don't want to do the same things all the time, but that's not a bad place to start. It's really not that bad to go and do your four, stretch, walk, you know, add some instead of doing deadlifts, for 2 of your exercises for in your five for your 2 weeks, instead of doing deadlifts for two of them, do like upright rows or hit some machines every once in a while and just do like a heavier version on the machine just to maybe work out some other muscles and things like that and just see how you're feeling. Um, all this stuff is a no one has it sorted out 100%. There are tons of things we can do. There's guides, there's people we can talk to. And if you talk to this person, they might have something, and this person might have something else. And both of them probably are not wrong. Neither one of them are 100% right, but nobody is. It's all trial and error. So that's one of the other things that I want to talk about here in a minute. We're going to talk about um, the fact that this really isn't a game of how fast, but it's how well. So that's kind of what I want to talk about here in just a second. What's up, guys? So I want to talk about setting up small routines, kind of like I was talking about at the beginning with the Legos. So it doesn't have to be very time consuming. It needs to be realistic. So I'm going to talk about maybe some realistic goals that I set for myself, um, kind of like I did just now with the 4 exercises and all that good stuff. So I'm going to do that. But after I talk about these, I just wanted to add that I would love to hear about what some of your guys' fitness goals are. Um, Comment on the show or shoot me an email and just let me know. I'm curious to know what your take is on some of these fitness goals and kind of what you guys are doing, things like that. Uh, Maybe we can help each other out, or I can help you, or we can go from there. So, uh, wise, WISE, Zen, ZEN, dragon at gmail.com. Shoot me an email and we'll talk. So, that being said, some examples of realistic goals that someone might shoot for in self care is committing to a gym schedule. I know that sounds weird, but you set it up. You, like we were saying, the whole Monday, Wednesday, Sunday, or Monday, Thursday, something like that. Set it up and stick to it. You're only going for 30 minutes each time you go, so set it up and just see. Tracking non-scalable victories. So I feel like this one people are gonna have a hard time doing. Stop stepping on the scale. Track things like your sleep, energy levels, things that you can really not, like this says, not they're non-scalable. If you felt good, you felt good. If you didn't have a lot of energy, you didn't have a lot of energy. If you slept like crap, you slept like crap. Like there's no number associated with it. It's not like, oh my God, I weighed 150 pounds today and 152 pounds, yesterday. It None of that's realistic. If you want to weigh yourself, I'll make this goal for you. If you want to weigh yourself, um, get you one of those real expensive body scales and do the whole body comp thing, and don't even look at what the number is until you're like 30 days in and it gives you an average. You don't want to do that. Weigh yourself for 2 weeks, every single day, same time. Weigh yourself with the same diet, the same fasting hours, all that good stuff. Write it down and then find your average. Do something like that and see how you feel. But I just keeping yourself motivated in general. Tracking your weight is just one of those complete downers. It only takes one day of messing up for your mind to feel like you're doing something wrong. And I'll be honest, you're not. You're not doing anything wrong. So think about that before you step on the scale next time. It's about how you feel, not about what that number says. Daily movement goals. Again, like we were talking about before, steps. If you have a desk job, set a reminder for, once an hour. I was actually just talking to a guy about this today. Set a reminder when you're at your desk and get up and walk around for a minute. Go, if you're working at a job that has levels, get up, go to the stairs and walk up and down 2 flights of stairs. Something simple like that. Trust me, it's a lot more than you think it's going to be. And then the last thing is, on top of having your daily movement, your non-scalable victories, and having a gym schedule, set up a long-term fitness goal. Something that you want to do long-term, so that while you're checking off all these goals, you have something to look forward to. Of course, it can change, and I get that, but being able to run or be in a 5K, being able to squat a certain weight, things like that, like working towards a bigger goal can help really make it rewarding when you check those little ones off. So think about all those things when it comes to you setting up your plan for strength training and fitness goals, and just being realistic in general. All those examples I just gave you are so very realistic, and you can do them every single day without changing anything else in your life right now. So think about that next time you go to set some goals. Make them realistic. So during this podcast, I got on a little bit of a tangent. I definitely don't think it's a bad thing. I like having the spontaneity of going off on a tangent and things like that, just because it brings more to the podcast. It brings more of myself. It brings more of you guys, what you want to listen to, things like that. So this podcast was originally going to be 3 different sections, and it was going to be about 30 minutes long. I only got through one of those sections, which was the setting realistic goals, and kind of talking about some things there. And then we got into the looking yourself in the mirror. Then we started talking about what some of those realistic goals are. I feel good about that. I feel good about the fact that I was able to give you guys some pretty solid, pretty healthy information. So instead of pushing this out and making it a little bit longer like the other ones, I'm going to talk on the next podcast about adjusting your routine as your body and your life changes. That way, maybe it makes it a little bit easier as you start on this journey, to where you're like, okay, it's been a couple weeks, maybe I can do this, or maybe I shouldn't. So we're going to do that. And then after that, we're going to talk about finding joy in your workouts. That's going to be a big one for me. I really believe in finding joy and not dread in what you do, whether it's your workouts, whether it's your nutrition, whether it's your relationships. It doesn't matter. So speaking of that, very last shout out that I want to say, In the whole relationship category, I had someone mention the other day that they would love for me to talk about having a partner who isn't really into fitness, or isn't really into the same things that you're into when it comes to health and fitness, but that doesn't mean that they don't want to, because all relationships are different, and I get that. But one of the main things that is important in a healthy relationship is that both of you are trying at new goals. Both of you are trying to support each other in ways that no one else can. Otherwise, why would you want to be in a relationship with that person if they're not helping you do these different things and be a better person? That's the healthiest relationship. So with that being said, yes, of course, all relationships have to have their own backing. Everyone's got to do their own thing. They got to have their own space and blah, blah, blah. But of course, you're going to want to do things with your partner as well. So coming soon, I'm going to start talking about relationships a little bit, just because in my past, I've had some relationships where it's something that we both wanted. And I've had relationships where it's not something that we wanted. I've had everything from someone trying to tell me that the lifestyle that I live now is me trying to be better than everybody else. And I've had someone where the lifestyle that I live now is truly amazing to them. It's kind of like 0 to 100 type culture. And that being said, I don't necessarily believe in that. I don't believe that anybody in the position that we are all in as wanting to have a growth mindset and be better people, that none of us think we're better than anybody else. But I do think that it's very easy to ignore the ones that do think that about us. So with that being said, I want to be able to talk about relationships, healthy relationships, people, and how they interpret different situations. I think that that's going to bring some light into the podcast because of different strength qualities that everyone has. And I think it's important to recognize those qualities from people, whether it's friends, whether it's family, whether it's relationships, your partner, any of that stuff. It's so very enlightening to know about those different things. So, thank you to my friend who brought that up. And I'm going to start talking about some of those things. But the first one that I'm going to do when it comes to relationships is we're going to talk about how when you have a partner who is not as healthy and into wellness as you, how you can continue to bring them into this life, things that you can do and talk about to try and make it better for them. I'm really looking forward to these segments, because on top of coaching wellness, on top of being a mentor for friends and talking to people in a positive light, having a growth mindset, I have always in my life wanted to try and help people when it comes to being happy with someone else. I know that sounds weird, but because of the struggles I've had in my own life, I feel like I have some pretty good knowledge on relationships and what to expect, what to do, and how to incorporate healthy behaviors into them. So I'm really looking forward to that. This is going to sum everything up from today's podcast. This is going to come out on Sunday morning, the 20th. Expect the next one sometime next week, like sometime this coming week, or possibly next Sunday. Haven't quite figured out yet if I'm going to do this once or twice a week, but make sure you follow the podcast. We are on Apple Podcast and Spotify right now. You can also check us out on YouTube. You can go to the website. You can sign up to be a member and read my blog. My blog on the website and on Medium is available. I mean, I post on there every other day, most of the time. Tons and tons of different content. So Facebook, Twitter, Threads, Instagram, we're everywhere. So check it out. Come talk to me. Sign up for some programs. Do the thing. Hope you guys have a good day. Look forward to new podcast coming out, and I'll see y'all next week. Peace.